Icelocked here with Nocturne Gaming, back with more Legends of Idleon, and today we're taking a look at 3 new pet territory teams. A quick note about all 3 of these teams. There is RNG involved in any of these teams, and you may have to attempt the fight more than one time, and some people up to 30 times before they got these teams rolling properly. I am going to show you 3 different compositions. Some of them have a little bit less RNG, but they all will have some RNG, so don't be afraid to try this more than once. The good thing about the third team that I'm going to show you is once you get it rolling, once you get past the initial first attack or two, then it is pretty safe. However, that last composition I'm going to show can take you several hours to complete the fight. So we're going to show you 2 of the quicker comps, but that have a little bit more RNG throughout the fight and may take a few attempts, but they only take about 10 to 20 minutes depending on your pet's power. So this is the first comp. This is one of the faster comps to do. However, there's a few things to note. First is the refiller at the very front is probably going to die fairly early in the fight. The main thing is that we get enough procs to be able to allow the refiller to do its job so that the monolith can keep up before the monolith dies. Now, even with that, the monolith will probably die between 2 and 3 minutes in. That's okay, because at that stage we have enough stacks of the looter's procs to hopefully survive the rest of the fight. Now, this is heavily RNG dependent. You're going to probably restart this 30 times to get this to work properly. You may get lucky and do it sooner than that. However, it is about a 10 to 15 minute fight if done properly. So the longer that your monolith can live, the more likely you are going to complete this. But keep going, even if your monolith dies, even if your defender dies, just keep going and see if you can beat this fight. But let's get started. I am probably going to have to cut to a successful run of this, so we'll show you what that looks like here in just a second. So this is kind of what a successful run can look like. At this stage, we can go good or bad. We don't know if this is going to complete all the way through or not, but we're about 4 minutes into this fight now, and the monolith is still alive. We're getting plenty of the cursed skull stacks. We've got some badum-dum stacks, which is going to help everything just live longer and longer. So this has still got about 10 minutes left on the fight, but this is what it should look like at this stage. As you can see, the boss's health is dropping relatively quickly now, so I am going to exit out at this stage so that I can continue to show you the other comps on this RNG heavy fight. This may be a successful run, but I would rather show you the 3 comps, but this is the general idea. So let's move on to the next comp, and we'll see you back in just a second. This is the second comp I'm going to show you, and it is the safest of the comps. However, it is the longest as well. One of my guild members that tested this fight for me said that it took him about 7 hours to complete this on an overnight run. So basically, he set it up, went to bed, and came back, and the fight was finished. However, it does take a very long time, so be prepared for that. The only RNG in this fight is if your refillers can live long enough in the beginning to be able to get the monolith and defenders going so that you have a constant stream of defense, and then you're relying on the flashy pet to duplicate and multiply the bone stacks. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. We'll show you a few minutes in. We're looking for just a couple minutes in to be able to know that this is a safe fight, and then this is a set and forget it. So we're not going to show you the whole fight on this run, but let's get started. Alright, so we're about 3 minutes into this fight now, and as you can see, we are completely safe. The shields are keeping our front line entirely impenetrable where you can't die. You're stacking up bone stacks. We're at 500, 600 bone stacks fairly quickly, and our refillers are stacking up to about 40 seconds now. So the main thing here that makes or breaks the early part of this fight is if your 2 refillers can get an ability off before the first one dies. This gives you enough time on the refiller for the bones to hit and get the cycle started. This takes quite a few attempts. This is probably 15, 18 attempts in to make this setup happen. But now that everything's running, this is completely and utterly safe. I could go to bed right now, come back, and it may or may not be done. But it is going to take you several hours to complete this fight using this setup. But this is what a successful run looks like. So we're going to go ahead and exit out of this fight at the top and switch back to our third setup, which is another faster setup, and it's going to allow you to get through this fight in about 20 minutes or so, depending on your pet power. So we'll be right back. For the third pet comp, we are mainly looking at the last pet territory currently available in World 6. This is Green Eggs and Blam in Dharma Mesa. The key difference on this fight compared to the previous one is this fight only has 2 pets in it, which makes this a viable comp for this pet territory. So what we want is a looter in the very back, followed by 2 rattlers, a defender, and then 2 refillers. With this comp, it should go fairly quickly for you, about 10 to 15, maybe 20 minutes to kill this boss. So give this a shot. It is a very fast pet comp. This is a viable comp in previous pet battles. However, the more monsters on the map, the less likely this is going to work because the number of axes will kill your refillers too quickly. So with all of that said, let's get started and see if we can take this down in the first shot. So at this stage, we are basically guaranteed to clear it. We are about 5 minutes in and we've killed the healer that's in the back. So all we need to do is DPS this guy down. We're at almost 20,000 stacks of Cursed Skull. We have 58 stacks of Dum-Dum. The abilities are going nuts. And it's just a matter of time before this boss goes down. So let's finish this up. And that's basically it for the World 6 pet battles. But let's see how this turns out. And there she goes. We are down to 1% HP and dead. So we have completed it using this comp in our first try. So I'm super excited about that. The one other thing that I wanted to mention to you about the pet territories is when you get to this stage, the hardest thing you're going to have to do is figure out how to get enough fight power to be able to unlock these spices. To do this, we're going to have to get some more pets, so I will be back in just a second and show you what pets to use to make the Lullaby Airways and Dharma Mesa possible to get their spices so we can unlock those new meals and get some more cooking speed and other bonuses. So we're back with our new pets. We've got a few new Borgers and a couple Dum-Dums or whales, and we have a Flashy as well. So the first thing that you need to do to check and see how to make this work is check how many upgrades you have in Blooming Axe. Now, the key thing here is it's going to require at least 4 upgrades for Lullaby Airways and at least 6 upgrades to do this for Dharma Mesa. So if you only have 4 upgrades in this, the main thing is you're going to need 3 Borgers and a Flashy on Lullaby Airways to get the required pet power. So as you can see with the 2 Borgers and a Flashy, I am more than enough into speed here to start the process of getting my first spice. There's a couple ways to speed this up though. This requires about 100 million foraging, so I recommend using your Dum-Dums on the bottom row here to get enough speed to make this a reasonable amount of time. This takes about 10 hours using this setup with the pets that I've got. So it's still going to take a decent amount of time even trying to maximize my foraging speed. So for the next spice, it becomes a little bit more mandatory to have that 6th upgrade in Blooming Axe. And let's talk about that now. There is one other thing that I want to point out before we talk about the full comp here, and that's when you have your whales on the line, it does not affect the fight power needed. So I only have 186 combat power right now. If I throw a whale in, it's not increasing the combat power. Even though it will increase the foraging speed, you still need to be able to hit the base power without your whales. So to do this, it's pretty simple at this stage. We just move our forager onto the line. That gives us plenty of combat power. This is basically the minimum that I've found to get Dharma Mesa unlocked is you need about 400,000, maybe a little bit more in your Borger's power, plus about 100k on your Flashy. This is basically the minimum right here with 6 upgrades in Blooming Axe. Now that we have the required power, we can add our whales back to the line, and that's going to give us our 11 million foraging speed, which is still going to take us about 30 hours to unlock this last spice. So I do recommend getting these set up as soon as you can and continue working towards this, as it is going to take a little bit of time to unlock that last spice for you. I hope this all helped. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button and drop a comment if you're enjoying our videos. And a huge shout out to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. And if you would like to become a patron, check out the link in the description for more details. And be sure to visit our merch store so you can get some pretty cool stuff. If you have any thoughts or questions, let us know down below, and we'll see you next time.